Final Fantasy XVI releases in only a few days, and people are hyped. The demo was downloaded over 10 million times. Square Enix has promoted it like crazy, but of course, while real gamers are excited for it, the perpetually offended are trying to tank this game, and now journalists are absurdly claiming that people are boycotting it over its lack of diversity. I have a few different things that I want to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. Now, of course, this is an archive because I'm not going to give them my clicks, and this first article is from Eurogamer, a site that has a very bad history that I'll bring up in a few, but it says, here's why some players plan to boycott Final Fantasy XVI. Now, I've talked about this game a few times on the channel, and I will be streaming it launch weekend. I'm personally pretty excited for it. I am hopeful, and I have had to talk about some more questionable things with this game, specifically how allegedly Square Enix was very worried about pre-order numbers from what we were hearing. They just were not hitting the numbers they were expecting. Maybe that has changed after the demo. I did see a chart recently that showed that Final Fantasy XVI was basically on no sales charts, and then it shot up, a week and a half to 2 weeks before official release. But hearing journalists say that people are planning to boycott this game is absurd for so many reasons, and the excuse that they're giving why people are going to be voting with their wallet against this game is ridiculous. It says some Final Fantasy players have revealed they plan to boycott Final Fantasy XVI due to the development team's continuously questionable response to the lack of diversity in the game. So first of all, they use this quote. It's not a real quote, it's just a quote that they decided to put into this article in order to potentially get clicks, but they said last November, Yoshi P addressed the lack of diversity in an interview, and the response did little to assuage the concerns of Black and minority ethnic players. So they are basically saying that there is a giant group of people who have decided that they are going to vote with their wallets against Final Fantasy XVI, simply because they are not, shoving diversity and inclusivity into this. And as it mentions, Yoshi P did talk about this last year. He said, we simply want the focus to be less on the outward appearance of our characters and more who they are as people. This sounds like a pretty great statement, that characters shouldn't be defined by the way that they look or their skin color or anything like that. But, of course, it's not good enough to them. The fact that this is supposed to be, heavily inspired by medieval Europe, and the fact that, again, they are simply wanting you to judge characters based on the way that they act. They are saying that so many people are going to be boycotting this. But what is hilarious to me, that completely nullifies any point they're trying to make here, is the fact that they refer back to... I can't even say it with a straight face, to REEsetEra. The people they are claiming are Final Fantasy fans who are going to, boycott this game are from REEsetEra, which of course is a basically gaming Reddit, but the type of people who flock here are not people who are going to buy Final Fantasy XVI in the first place. They are the perpetually offended, they are the sensitive snowflakes in the gaming industry, and I don't even have a REEsetEra account. I would never create a REEsetEra account, and I know many of you think that this forum is absolutely absurd, filled with sensitive sallies. And funny enough, after this article was put out, they decided to lock the replies of this thread that is titled, "Will you boycott Final Fantasy XVI due to the lack of diversity and minority characters?" So clearly they don't actually want people to discuss this. They basically wanted the first few responses to be filled with people who agree with this poster and saying, yeah, I'm going to boycott it. And that was the only discussion that they allowed. They also point out that at the time of writing, over 1,200 players on REEsetEra have responded to a poll, but just 2.9%, that's around 40 people, are intending to intentionally boycott the release. So this is what they decided to write an article on, was 40 whole people in a very progressive forum. Why did they think this was going to go over well, that this was actually going to pick up steam, and people were going to be like, yeah, you know what? You guys are great for calling this issue out. It's not an issue at all, and almost no one is upset over it. And while Eurogamer is the most notable site that is pushing this narrative, Gaming Bible also put out an article saying players are, planning to boycott Final Fantasy 16. It seems that the video game industry is never far away from controversy, and a boycott in the Final Fantasy series is no exception. And then they go on to give us the backstory and the history of Square Enix and Final Fantasy. Clearly, this person is not a gamer. They just wanted to put out this hate bait title. But it's no surprise when it comes to Eurogamer putting this out. I've had to talk about them several times in the past. I'm sure that you guys will remember the Kingdom Come controversy with them. They basically gave Kingdom Come a negative review simply because it didn't highlight and feature enough diverse characters. And to top it off, they decided to attack one of the creative directors, writers, and the company's co-founder because he was a, quote, vocal supporter of Gamergate. We can't go a day without having Gamergate be brought up. But yeah, they basically tried to cancel Daniel over this and cancel the game over this, but they also did the same thing with Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy will reportedly have a trans-inclusive character creator, which of course we later found out they didn't add genders to the character creator, and it did also feature trans characters in the game itself, but they do bring up the fact that, it doesn't really matter because it still is Hogwarts Legacy, meaning it is still a Harry Potter video game. And they said the fact Hogwarts Legacy will as well has drawn attention due to the game's connection to the controversial Harry Potter universe creator J.K. Rowling. And then they go on this whole spiel about how you shouldn't support Hogwarts Legacy because ultimately J.K. Rowling will profit from it. But Eurogamer is actually getting destroyed over this FF16 article right now, which I think is hilarious. They posted this to Twitter. Here's why some players plan to boycott Final Fantasy 16. And while I'm not going to sit here and read all of the responses, people are calling out the fact that they have zero diversity at Eurogamer. They are showing several screenshots of their writers' profiles, and there are no black staff members, so people are, being like, hey, Eurogamer, why don't you focus on your own diversity before this video games? But people are also saying things like, I'm a fan of diversity, but why are they choosing now to boycott the game over the lack of diversity, which I will add is a pretty mediocre reason. It's a video game, not real life. As long as it's not overly offensive towards anyone, it's fine, which I completely agree with. If you want to boycott Final Fantasy over this, you're allowed to, right? You're an adult, do what you want with your own money, but don't go into articles saying that tons of fans of this franchise are going to boycott it over this very mediocre reason. There's really nobody saying that they're going to boycott this title. I personally will be playing it at launch. I'm relatively excited for it. At this point in time, I really don't have a lot of worries going into this game, but yes, places like Eurogamer are posting articles like this claiming that Final Fantasy fans are going to boycott this game even though they're referring to 40 people on REEsetEra. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you did not, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.